Were you involved in at all with the decision on going to Wounded Knee then, shortly after?
No.
You were at all, but you did go.
Yes.
What do you remember from that? What are the things that stand out in your mind,
Um, I remember everything about it that I was involved in, but the most significant thing that I remember was that a lot of Indian people were probably standing up and being a part of something for the first time in their lives. There was a lot of young people showed up and older people that came to support that hadn't done anything like that before. And
People from Pine Ridge or from all over?
well, from Pine Ridge and from all over the United States.
Mm-hmm.
There was kind of a flow. There were people coming in and leaving.
Mm-hmm. Were they able to? People were able to get in and out fairly easily at first, or?
It seemed relatively easy. They had roadblocks all the way around, but the local people, some of the young guys especially, knew routes, past their roadblocks and past their um, guard points and stuff, through ravines and different places, how to get in and out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was aimed at protect. Was that when they were asked to protect the traditional people from the Dick Wilson government, or
Well,
was it more just making a symbolic stand at this historic site, as you understand it?
it kind of worked out that way. I don't think it was particularly planned that way because it was a historical site. There had been a meeting earlier um, where they were called the Oglala Civil Rights Organization, I think,
Mm-hmm.
or a coalition of
Civil rights
something like that,
Oscar.
that asked for AIM to come and help them organize against mistreatment by the Dick Wilson organization
Mhm.
or government. And so they had a meeting, and then after the meeting, the local tribal officials and the FBI had set up a roadblock. And so then the people said, well, we're already within the roadblock. So they set up roadblocks, and it kind of escalated from there. And once it got underway, members of the American Indian movement and others felt like, well, it's a good time to let the world know what's been happening to Indian people, and encourage other Indian people to stand up and let the world know the violations of our treaties and encroachment on our sovereignty. And so that's what took place. The American Indian movement, as an organization, I guess you'd say, never entertained the thought that they could win any kind of armed conflict against the United States. But the weapons there were just there to hold them off or keep them at bay while they met with the press, talked to the world.
Mm-hmm. Were they concerned that there might be another massacre there?
Well, the people there were prepared for that eventuality if it took place. There were a lot of dedicated people there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, did you come under fire often, or how was it just sporadic?
While I
fire,
was there was sporadic shooting.
Mhm.
While I was there I know of one Indian guy that was wounded, but I don't know of any others. There were two sections to the Wounded Knee standoff,
Mhm.
and I was just in the first section. There was some negotiations that took place, and then part of the agreement was that there would be amnesty for everybody there, and there was a time period that they could leave without being charged or anything, and there was amnesty. And so I was there to that point. And then there were some other people that came in and chose to stay longer. And so what took place after that, I don't know. I know there was a couple people killed after that, but I don't know the details of it other than
Buddy Lamont.
Buddy Lamont, he was shot
Clearwater.
in the head, and so was Frank Clearwater.
Yeah. Was that one of the issues that helped spark the negotiations, the death of Buddy Lamont? I was just reading that.
Well, Buddy Lamont
Your
wasn't
weapons
killed
info.
while I was there.
Okay, you
There
got.
was negotiations while I was there, but I wasn't part of those
So you left
negotiations.
early before the whole. You didn't stay the whole 71 days.
No.
Okay, wasn't there some kind of military involvement in that?
While I was there, it was federal marshals and FBI.
Mhm.
After that, I don't know.
Mhm.
I know they had armored personnel carriers,
Yeah.
which are a military vehicle.
Mhm. Was that just for show or?
No, it wasn't for show.
Oh,
They
for
were shooting
transport.
from them,
Shooting from them.
and they were shooting to kill.
Uh-huh.
Because I was in a structure that received gunfire.
Mhm. And these was automatic weapon fire,
Yes.
heavy.
Yeah, I think a lot of their weapons was M16s.
Mhm. But at the end, wasn't it negotiated that there would be some kind of investigation of some of the treaty claims and some of the human rights issues and with the tribal government? And
Yes, there were, but I'm not.
you weren't
I don't
involved in
remember. I
negotiations?
wasn't involved in negotiations,
Mhm.
and it's my understanding that there were some agreements like that, but none of them were kept by the
Mhm.
government.
Had there been goons, the private security goons at that time, or did that come after Wounded Knee?
I wasn't familiar with the Goon Squad.
Mhm.
During Wounded Knee, I went there, and when I left, I left. I always worked in a regular
Oh, you
job.
kept your job all the time in
Well,
Idaho,
I was no longer working for the Indian Center, but I had been a union electrician before, and I still was. And I would go back. I worked in construction all the time, and I had a family, and I went back home. You know, I wasn't funded by anybody but myself.
Mhm. What effect do you think Wounded Knee had on the thinking of Native people?
I believe and know that Wounded Knee was a turning point in Indian history in America. It brought about a reinsurgence of racial pride, reinsurgence of determination to protect our rights and regain our rights under the treaties. It brought about an understanding of a contemporary understanding of our own sovereignty rights, and it sparked indigenous activism all over the world, you know, South America and other places. There was people who felt if Native people right there in the so-called heart of the beast, or belly of the beast, could stand up to that level, surely we can do something out here also. And it kind of escalated all over the world for indigenous people, and encouraged indigenous people to exercise and regain their sovereignty. And in that change, it brought about a lot of the tribal enterprises that are evident today. You know, the casinos and shopping centers and all kinds of tribal enterprises that different reservations and tribes have now.
Well, there have been really major gains
Tribal
at the
nations.
international level, especially most
Right.
recently the Declaration on Indigenous Rights.
Right. There's the International Indian Treaty Council, which came about after Wounded Knee. There's all kinds of things that happened once. I don't think it really changed the non-Indian perspective of Indian people, but it changed our own perspective of ourselves in a contemporary setting, and brought about, like I said, a reinsurgence of racial pride and